Cyril Pinocchio Ramaphosa has issued yet another dire warning to the ANC. Renew or perish. The party faces an existential crisis, he declares, and it must change or die because Cyril is the captain and he's telling the ship crew to change or die. Members must stop being corrupt. The organization needs discipline. The culture of showing off wealth must end. The criminals and corrupt officials must be expelled. This is the guy who says the ship is sinking, but he's the one who hit the iceberg. That's the problem. Cyril Ramaphosa has been president of the ANC since 2017, for those of you who don't know, and president of South Africa since 2018. He is the leadership. He is the person at the top. For 7 years, he has been in the driver's seat while the party and the country have deteriorated under his watch. And now, with all the unmitigated audacity that only a politician possesses, he's warning everybody else that they need to fix things. Right? Because he's the innocent one in the mix and he hasn't done a single thing wrong. It's like the captain of the Titanic, after steering directly into the iceberg, gathering the crew to warn them that unless they make some serious changes, this ship is going down. Well, Captain, we noticed. We noticed that when you were at the helm. The sheer irony of Ramaphosa's renew or perish message is very staggering. I mean, he criticizes the ANC for having a disease of not implementing resolutions. But who's been presiding over this diseased organization? Who has had the power to enforce discipline and hasn't? Who has watched corruption flourish in the party and government while giving the most eloquent speeches about renewal? At the ANC's General Council this week, Ramaphosa told party members they must stop showing off their wealth and driving expensive cars through communities. This moral lecture was delivered while ANC staff members were literally picketing outside over unpaid salaries. So the party can't even pay its own workers on time. Medical aid contributions are in arrears, and the president is inside lecturing about humility and modesty. You cannot make this up, even if you tried. The 2024 election results really showed what South Africans think of Ramaphosa's leadership. And if you don't believe me, well, let me tell you, the ANC lost its majority for the first time since 1994. Voters stayed at home or voted for other parties. Most stayed at home, but the message was clear. They've had enough. And Ramaphosa's response, to warn the party that it needs to renew itself. Not, I have failed to lead effectively. Not, I take responsibility for this electoral disaster. Let's try again. Just another speech about how everyone else needs to do better. Nothing like telling everyone to do better before the 2026 elections, am I right? I mean, let's be clear about what this renewal has meant under Ramaphosa's leadership. It has meant commissions of inquiry that produce reports that sit on shelves of other reports. It has meant investigations that never result in consequences, like Pala Pala. It has meant strongly worded statement and make it business as usual, right? Serious things happen and the culprits walk free, the whistleblowers get murdered. 7 years of talk with precious little action, all bark and no bite. Ramaphosa talks about removing criminals and corrupt individuals from the ANC. Excellent idea, Mr. President. So why are they still here, if I may ask? You are the president of the party. You chair the National Executive Committee, the NEC. You have the power to enforce the discipline. Why haven't you? Why do people implicated in corruption still hold positions of power? Why was the ANC appeals process for the State Capture Commission's recommendations used to protect corrupt cadres rather than remove them? Like and subscribe if you agree with what I'm saying so far. The truth is that Ramaphosa's style of leadership can be summed up in one word: management. He manages crises. He manages factions. He manages perceptions. What he doesn't do is lead. Real leadership requires making difficult decisions, confronting powerful people, and doing what must be done. By the way, I said he manages those. I didn't say he manages them good. So don't put words into my mouth. You must accept as a leader that you might lose support from certain quarters if you want to get to the goal. Ramaphosa has consistently chosen the path of least resistance because he's trying to please everybody. And now he's carefully calibrated middle ground that offends absolutely no one and changes nothing. Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, I like how Chris Wyatt says his name, Fikile Mbalula, acknowledged that government failures, corruption, and slow economic reform have truly eroded ANC support. He attributed the decline to state capture and service delivery breakdowns, all true. But where was Ramaphosa while this was happening? He was the deputy president, during much of state capture. He was then elected president on an explicit anti-corruption platform. And then 7 years later, money is found in his couch, the rot continues, and now he's warning that the party needs to renew itself or perish. BS. The language of renewal itself has become meaningless. Ramaphosa declared 2025 the year of renewal. What has been renewed this year? His suit? But the ANC has been talking about renewal for years. Yes, I was grade 7 when Ramaphosa was president. I'm done with school now, I'm getting my college diploma. Nothing has changed. In fact, one could argue it's actually getting pretty worse. Minister CCC, I've forgotten her surname, man. What minister? Minister CCC, she's in the ANC, you'll know her. You'll know when you see her. She says more commissions must be made, but we've had commissions before. We've had investigations before. We've had reports before. What we haven't had is consequences. What we haven't had is justice. What we haven't had is change. And now, tragically, we have a murdered witness and a president issuing another statement about how unacceptable it is for other statements to be corrupt. The fundamental problem with Ramaphosa's renew or perish warning is that it refuses to acknowledge the role of leadership in an organization's decline. Organizations don't fail in a vacuum. They fail because of leadership, or the lack of it rather. So the ANC's problems aren't happening to Ramaphosa and because Ramaphosa is this leader. They're happening under him. Because of him, as a result of his failure to lead decisively, and you know it's the truth. Political analyst Theo Neethling noticed that what ANC leaders call renewal often looks more like internal power struggles ahead of the 2027 conference. That's probably closer to the truth, but not as close as my truth. This isn't about renewing the party to serve South Africans better. It's about positioning for the next leadership context. It's about managing factions. It's about Ramaphosa trying to secure his legacy while avoiding the hard decisions that might actually change things. You know what I'm saying? South Africans watching this spectacle have every right to be cynical. The man at the top of the organization is warning the organization that it's in trouble. The president, who has had 7 years to implement change, is warning that change is needed. Who is this dude? The leader who has consistently chosen process over action, commissions over consequences, and words over deeds, is now telling everybody else that they need to do better or the party will die. Here's a radical thought for you. Maybe the problem isn't that the ANC needs to renew itself. Maybe the problem is that the person tasked with leading that renewal is fundamentally incapable of doing so. So maybe the problem starts at the very top. Maybe, just maybe, Cyril Ramaphosa warning the ANC about its existential crisis is like a doctor diagnosing his own malpractice and then expecting applause for his insight. Now that's a bar. You must quote me there in the comment section. The ANC may indeed perish, but if it does, history will record that it perished not because it failed to heed Ramaphosa's warnings, but because those warnings came from a leader who spent years demonstrating that he lacked the courage, he lacked the conviction, he lacked the capability to do anything more than warn.